if you have somebody that you can kind of like process things with and then kind of get their outside perspective, then it helps you find a middle ground. But also there's just something about doing things together that it's like sharing the load. Like, this is a lot of work, but it's not all on you. Like, we do it together. And it's huge, not going to be the best thing in the world, but like, you're here. There's a lot of people that haven't even gotten to this point or that completely will never see themselves at this point, and we did it.
You and I have been at this for 4 years.
Yeah, it's been
developing CitiServe. This is Rufina Berishev. She is my partner in crime with all things CitiServe. And today we're going to have a conversation about a little bit about her and who she is, which she will despise this conversation about who she is personally. But it's good. It's good for her to get out a little bit this way. And then we're going to talk mostly about what it's like to start a nonprofit that has a video podcasting portion of it. That's a really important part of it, and how that developed, what steps we went through, how it worked out working together, what it was like working with somebody that's much older than you are, and a different generation, multi-generational stuff, or just see where it goes. So anyway, let's start off with this. How about what is it like to be a 24-year-old in today's world? How do you feel about being a 24-year-old in this world?
I feel like it's kind of rough sometimes. I don't feel like I'm 24. I feel like I'm a lot older than 24. It's probably because I'm more mature than most kids my age, or I guess not really kids. But I feel like it's pretty hard because I think when I was growing up, there's a lot more expectations. We grew up in a more technologically based world, so there's always expectations. There was kind of that like instant gratification type thing, go mentality. And I feel like now I have a hard time saying no because of it, because I'm so used to like just doing the next thing and not just like sitting and just chilling out.
Yeah.
And I think with everything going on in the world, it's kind of scary because no one really knows what the next step or the next few years is going to look like.
Yeah. You couldn't have seen that we were going to be here today 5 years ago.
No.
So why would you think that you can figure out what's going to happen 5 years from now?
I don't even know what I want to do when I grow up. So, hey.
This change happens so quick. What are the upsides to growing up with a screen in front of you all the time? What's the benefits or advantages you have?
I think everything's at your fingertips. Like, if you need information, you don't have to go look it up in a book anymore. You don't have to use an encyclopedia. Like, everything's online. Like, you have a question, you can get an answer real quick. And especially with ChatGPT, with the like evolution of that, you can literally figure out anything. And with YouTube, you don't have to get trained or go to college for something. It's all at your fingertips.
And what are the frustrations of growing up? One of the things I have noticed about you, people like you, your generation, is that you think anything is impossible, or anything is possible, but there's all kinds of things that could derail you too. So it's like that combination of having a lot of excitement and hope about what could happen, but also being aware that there's all kinds of things that could take you out. Is that accurate?
I don't know, because I don't know if I've ever really like looked at it like that. I think that there is this kind of like I can do anything mentality within everybody. Like, I know I say I hate taking risks, but there's something inside of me that's like, I can do anything I set my mind to as long as I work hard and do it. But I guess there are like, it does seem like people my age, like the most minor inconvenience and it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just dramatic, but sometimes it feels like that, or like you're going towards something and then like you're disappointed and it makes you not want to do it anymore.
You're pretty resilient. Where have you learned resilience from?
My older brother. I think growing up with my older brother, he taught me how to like pretty much do anything to be independent, but also to keep pushing through hard things. I mean, we had a hard upbringing, so it was always like, just keep your eyes focused, go forward, like don't let things stop you.
Yeah.
And I think that it instilled in me like a work ethic and this like mentality, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Power through things.
Yeah.
Be a little powerhouse.
Yeah, you are, well, for one, you seem to get thrill out of serving to the point where it becomes like such a burden at times because you say yes to. One of the things that we've talked about over the years is like you got to say no to some things. You know, you can't say yes to everything. So it is interesting seeing you how you've navigated that. You're getting much better at it, I have to say.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah. Is that something that you think is going to really help you in the future? Being able to discern what things you say yes to and what things you say no to?
I think so, because I have this thing inside me that I always want to help people. I love helping people. That's so like when people like ask me what I want to do when I get older or whatever else, I don't know, because as long as it stems around like helping somebody, I want to do it. But I think it has put me in some positions where I get really burnt out. Like I get so excited about something and I don't give 100%. I give like 110%. I give everything until I have nothing left. And so I deal with burnout pretty bad. And I never really knew what it meant to put myself first, because I was like, oh, like everybody else needs to be happy. Everything needs to be taken care of. But like I can't be the savior for everybody. Yeah. And I did learn like I had to take care of myself. Like not the self-care thing, but you really do. Like how are you supposed to pour into other people if you have an empty cup? Yeah. And so slowly learning to say no, like I've started to realize like what I like to do, what I want to do. And I think that by picking me, that'll help me kind of stay focused as I get older versus like doing everything for everyone all the time. And then at the end of the day, I'll be left with nothing.
What kind of influences your relationship with God had? Because there's a serving component to being a Christian too. It's kind of this selfless, what would Jesus do kind of thing. That seems like would also play into it a little bit.
Yeah, I think coming back to church, I think I didn't really understand the motivation behind serving and then people pleasing. And I think just even over the last 5 years, I've started to learn the difference. But I think at the beginning, I had a skewed perception of what it meant to serve. And so like, I really don't think that God wants you to give completely everything to the point that you're just done. Yeah. Like, I don't think he asks that of us. I think like he wants us to take care of ourselves to be able to serve other people. And he does ask us to serve, but our motivations have to be right behind it. Like if you're doing things just to people please, you're going to not enjoy it. And I think like at the beginning, especially like with worship, I really, really enjoyed worship. And then I got to a point where I started just like going through the motions and I started to lose focus of like what worshiping actually really meant. Right. And then I started despising it. Yeah. And then even just, I've taken a few different breaks, and by taking those breaks, I've kind of learned I learned to love worship again, but I also learned like the whole point of worship. It's the same thing with serving in like the body. I mean, I've helped out at many different churches, even Evangeline. Like when I start just doing things just to show up, then I really don't want to be there. But when I start doing things just for like the relational aspect and just like to grow together and like really live in like community, then I've gotten some enjoyment out of that. And I've started to realize that like, that's what serving is about.
Yeah. It's so much better if you can have a smile on your face. Yeah. You know, if you're not going, oh, I don't want to do this. Yeah. So, a while back, there was this 20-year-old girl and this old guy. I can't even remember how old, 66-year-old when I started. So. And I approached you and said, hey, want to do this thing with me? I'm going to start this ministry. You want to do it with me? And my thinking, I have to be honest with you, my thinking was, I don't know enough about what I'm doing. Like first thing we did was develop a website, and we'll talk about that. And then we developed this whole video podcasting thing. And so I want to talk about some of the ins and outs of that. But what was it like? What did you feel like when somebody approached you at 20 and said, hey, you want to start something with me? And we have had numerous conversations about this over the years.
I think I feel like I went through a range of different emotions right off the bat. I was like, oh yeah, I can do it. And there was a sense of excitement. And then there was kind of this like anxiety because I don't know what I'm doing like at all.
And neither does the guy who's I'm working with.
And it was part of like this thing, like I love doing things with you. I love doing things with people. Yeah. Because there's just something about sharing it with other people. It's just a lot more enjoyable. And so I was like, okay, like this is fun. We're going to do it together. But I think the part that kind of made me the most anxious or scared me was the fact that like I wasn't really confident in my ability to do anything because I really didn't know what we were getting into. Like it was like it was a brand new thing. We were starting from nothing and making something. And there's this dream and this hope of what you're going to like achieve. But like, it's really hard to envision it when you don't even know what it's supposed to look like. But I think through it though, like it's been so much fun and I've learned a lot and I feel like I've gained in confidence in myself.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
4 years later, here we're sitting there talking about it in retrospect. And that isn't that long, but you know, in the course of your life, that's a pretty big investment that you've made. The whole, like when we started, when we built a website, you can do a plug and play website where you just kind of insert your information, but we took a little different approach to it. And why don't you explain for people that maybe are considering starting a website for their organization, what's involved with that? What are the nuts and bolts that you need to think about?
I think there's a lot. I know when we started, I didn't even know what a domain was, which is the www. I didn't know what that was. I didn't even know that there's a login for websites. In my brain, it was like they just were there. Like I don't know who created them. They were just there. Maybe Google created them. I don't know.
Somebody did it.
Yeah, and so I knew nothing. But when we really started like getting into like, oh, we're like legit making this. One of the big things was first we had to get a domain, so acquiring it. So you had to pay for that. Then there's a thing called the host that your website's supposed to like be on, but yet there's this domain. And so we got the host, and then not knowing anything about websites, like you hear of like Squarespace and WordPress and Wix, but I don't know what those mean.
And the way that I worked with you was I would go and find the 5 coolest websites and say, let's do this, Rufina. And then you had to figure out, well, how did they do that? How did they make that stuff happen?
Like, how do you pick a color theme? Like, what are our colors? And I think helping, or the thing that helped was getting a logo. But one thing that most people don't know that I kind of feel like we had a little like treasure egg was Fiverr. Yeah. I think it was your son that he had used it, David. And so a lot goes into building a website, especially when you don't know what you're doing. So I think we hired a developer on Fiverr to help us build the bones of the website. And I mean, it's pricey to get it. And we got it back and it was not great.
It wasn't. We didn't like it.
Yeah, it was too clunky. It was way too, it was just clunky. It was cluttered and it just didn't flow. And it wasn't really what we envisioned. And even though I don't know if we really had like any idea of what we envisioned. And so, I mean, that's part of like the growing pains. Like you spend money and it really is not great. So we were able to find a different developer just by going through. Gears. We just like went a whole different direction. And we ended up getting the bones for this website, which this developer created a theme for us and basically built the website in squares. And I think that's where Squarespace comes up with their name, but they built these squares. And then it was just like, now that we have a foundation, they gave it to us and now we got to plug in all the information. But there was things that we didn't like about how the developer did it. But going through like the back end and seeing what like each thing was and what was built into it, like I was able to figure out, oh, like this is a lot easier than I think. It's literally just plugins and drag and drop and click plus or duplicate. And then it was just adding all the content. And I think that was the big thing, was adding content and figuring out what you want on the website, how you want it to flow, and then how is it going to grab people's attention? Yeah.
Well, the other part that people don't know about, because at one point you developed your own website building service.
Yeah.
And then people would come to you and say, build me a website.
Oh, yeah.
And they wouldn't have any idea what they wanted. They just thought you were going to create something that they would just fall in love with. And how much pressure is that on you?
Oh, yeah. I can't read their mind.
Yeah.
I think what helped was what you had me do first was you had me build my own website.
Yeah.
So I had somebody build it, and then I didn't really like it. But it was super simple. But I was like, what do I need to do with a website? I don't want to really advertise myself like, oh, this is scary. And so then before the CitiServe website, I built one other website.
Yeah.
For Tracy. And that kind of helped like give me an idea of what I wanted. And then I learned how to do the themes and everything. But I think even to this day, though, people don't know what all goes into building a website still. And so they kind of expect me to just like read their mind.
But
But
it's
if I
so
don't
much
know anything about
collaboration,
it,
isn't it?
oh yeah,
Isn't it
like
all
you
about
need
collaboration
somebody.
between the person who's building it and the person who has a vision for what they want? And if you don't have a vision for what you want, how are you supposed to collaborate with somebody?
Yeah,
So
especially if you're selling a service or goods or something, it takes a lot of like detail, and it takes a lot of, I don't know, it takes a lot of like personal, I don't even know how to say it. You need like a personal touch to it. You don't want it to be robotic. And so if you come to me and you want me to build you, I don't know, like a beauty salon website, I mean, I can Google stuff about a beauty salon, and I'm sure I can find products and I can find information, but it's just going to be like generic and like monotonous. But like, you want this website to be a reflection of you, a reflection of what your business actually has to offer. And so you kind of have to have some skin in the game. And like, I can help out, but it really is a collaborative effort where like I can do the hard work about it, but I just need to know what you want. What do you like? If you can give me some ideas, I can build off of those. Or I can build you a website, and then I don't know if you're really going to like it because it's not going to be you.
yeah, yeah. I thought about that a lot as we were working together. I thought not just about what I wanted, but I thought, what does Rufina need from me to make this thing work? And so I would never say that up front, but I would think in my mind, I don't want to just dump stuff into her lap and have her try to figure out what to do with it.
Right.
I want to come in with some idea of what I envision happening, and then ask her to help me get there. And I think that's a big part of the collaboration, is not just relying on somebody else to do all the work, but realizing that together you can accomplish a lot more than you can on your own. Don't you think that one of the things we share is both of us are critical?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we don't like settling. And we don't like mediocrity.
Perfectionism?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to go to perfectionism so quickly, but we both are like, we can do better. We can do this better. Like we would have something come back from Fiverr and we'd say, this looks hokey, or the colors are weird, or like, I think a lot of people would have just said, well, that's what they're the experts. They're telling us what to do. But both of us are pretty critical. And I think that's helped us along the way, don't you, in developing something that isn't just average. I don't think what we've done is average. I think it's above average. And I'm not saying that pridefully. I'm saying that because we worked our tails off to do it.
Yeah, I think like there's this, like I know, like I have really high expectations that I set for myself. And like, even though they're like behind the scenes, they're there. And part of it is I am a little bit like a perfectionist, not always, but that makes me want to do things better. And there's just, the presentation is big. Yeah. And I don't want to be like, I don't want to be the same as everybody, and I don't want to be generic. And I used to always say, like in high school, like I want to be like a transcendentalist and live in Alaska or like off grid away from people, or like I just want to be the nonconformist. Like I have this thing, I don't like being told what to do. Yeah. If you tell me something, I literally, it doesn't matter what it is, inside I want to do the opposite. So like doing things different, that really helped. And I feel like we had a better idea of what we thought people wanted versus just like any generic like informational website. Like CitiServe, the vision is like walking with pastors and leaders as they walk in their relationship with God. But the other part of it too was, how can we be a resource to not just pastors, but leaders, like community people, civic stuff. Like that was the whole map that we created.
And that was where the business plan came from, was my thinking, I've done this for a long time. I know what pastors need. So we're just going to put stuff in there that they need. And that wasn't accurate. Some of the stuff that we put in, I don't think they really care about. I cared about more of that than other people did. But one of the things that we had to wrestle with in collaboration, I think this is really important, is that we had to, because we're both critical and want better, I would have to come to you and say, I'm not so sure I like what we're doing here. Let's do it differently. And you had to get past that whole idea of, he doesn't like what I'm doing. Yeah. And that was hard, especially because we didn't really talk about it too much, but we had to work through some of that stuff, didn't we?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, like I used to have a really hard time taking like it's not that it's like constructive criticism, but it's like when you want something better, it's better for both of us. And I think that's what I had a hard time with, because I had this thing at the beginning, especially, like I did have this people pleasing thing where I wanted to be perfect, or I wanted it to look good. And like, there's like your 5 love languages, and like mine's words of affirmation. And so like I needed somebody to tell me,
I can testify in court.
Right. And I needed somebody to tell me like, I'm doing a good job. Like, but then it was like, oh, well, he said I'm doing a good job at this, so I'm not really doing a good job. He's lying to me, or something like that. Even though it's so convoluted. But then it was like, as I started like getting more into it, I would hear like the good job, and then it was like that's not what it was all about. It wasn't about that. It was like you really wanted to do things better. And then I think it hit you before it hit me, where it was just like you start doing one thing, and it's like, you taste like sugar, and you want to go back for more. That's kind of how it was. It's like we tried something, and then the whole how can we do better? And then I didn't really have a firm grasp on that, but then it was like once I saw the better,
it's kind of addictive.
Like, wait a minute, like, oh heck no, I don't want this. Like, I want this. And then learning that, it was like each time, like after every episode of these, it was like something that we could do better. And I mean, it came with its stresses, and it came with like ups and downs. And sometimes I was really disappointed. There was days where the videos, like I was like, man, I did a horrible job. But it was like, okay, well, next time, now I know what I did. Next time we're going to do something different. And it like, I think it motivated me each time to be like, okay, like we're going to be a little bit different this time.
Yeah, let's back up just a bit. We finished the website, back and forth with a lot of different stuff. Finally found something that we thought was going to work, that we felt was really good. Then we added things like let's do a map where everybody can see all the churches in Cowlitz County, not realizing there was no data for that at all. You literally drove to the churches to take pictures of them. You literally searched out all the churches in Cowlitz County, because it was CitiServe of Cowlitz County. So there's, we know how many churches are in Cowlitz County, at least the ones we think are still alive. Yeah. But then we developed a way for paying for things on the website. So we finally got it the way we wanted it, and we could kind of relax with that, and then started working on the podcast. And that was a whole nother learning thing. And we've spent probably the last 3 years, good 3 years, working on that part of it. And I would come to you and say, let's do this. And I saw this on another podcast. Let's change the lighting and get different cameras, and let's paint the wall a different color. Yeah. And so you had to deal with that part of me too, and just kind of responding to me and the things that I was wanting to accomplish through something that neither one of us really knew how to do very well. Because talk about a little bit about how it started.
With the podcast?
Because it was a lot different than it is today.
I mean, I feel like the podcast initially was overwhelming. Like, I know how to use a phone. I know how to fix phones. I know how to use a phone. I can take pictures on a phone, but I've never been like a video cameras. I mean, I think I had my sister's camera at one point, and I knew how to like click the take a picture button, but I didn't know anything about what it takes, like sound quality, EQ, like any of this. And so when we first started it, there was a lot that went into it. Like we were Tell people what we were doing at first, how it all started technically, what we were doing to create a video. We sit in Monticello coffee shops. In front of the fireplace at Monticello. Like they would close at 2:30, but they let us come in. Like they let us like be there after hours as long as we shut the door. I would get off work at 3 o'clock or 3:30, and I'd like book it there. And I mean, at first we kind of had these like little janky lights and like other lights, and then we were recording off. It was an iPhone 12.
Yep.
And we had these like lapel mics, and the video quality was
lapel mics.
Grainy. Like the lapel mics, sometimes they recorded, sometimes they didn't. Like the lighting was rough, and it's like no matter what you did, it was rough.
But we were doing it.
Yeah.
And so we had something to work from.
It didn't seem like once we got through the first 3, it was like, okay, like this isn't that bad. Looking back now, I'm like, oh man, we like the amount of growth we've had is crazy. But yeah, I mean, there was all the little bits and pieces. It's just like building a website. There's so much that goes into it. And like people see a finished quality and like they don't know all the back end stuff, but we do. And we realize like, it's not just, you don't just buy a camera and you're good. Like,
well, one of the things we learned early was you can have a video podcast that's okay, but if the audio is bad, the whole thing sucks.
Oh yeah.
And or if the lighting is bad, and like there's a couple of the early ones that we did that were so dark,
Yellow.
yeah, and the coloration was terrible. And so I would watch other videos, other podcasts. I'm thinking, how'd they do that? Because they look so much different than ours. And then we realized at one point we got to do an upgrade, because I realized that we were just doing one camera angle the whole time, and it looks really, it's not bad if you're doing a 3-minute video, but if you're doing a longer video and there's no movement, it looks really boring. So I talked to a friend of mine and got a gift, a $6,000 gift where we bought 3 cameras and all the lights and better mics. And all of a sudden we were able to do things at a whole nother level. What was that like? For you, what was that like for you? Because I just kind of ordered all the stuff on Amazon, came in with a box of stuff and said,
I literally got
Rufina.
a text message from you. This is what I ordered. I think there was a lot more excitement once we got the newer equipment. It was overwhelming, but I don't feel like it was as overwhelming as it was when we started.
Yeah.
Because when we started, it was starting from nothing. With the cameras, I think learning the software and stuff was the part that was overwhelming.
And you were great at that. Yeah,
and I feel like I'm like a sponge. I just like pick things up. But because we had been doing these videos, and this entire 4 years, you've been sending me different like podcasts all the time. Check out this lighting. Let's try this. Let's do this. Look at the sound quality. Like, how
did you feel about that? Were you like,
at first I was like,
are you kidding me?
What are you looking at?
Yeah.
Like, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, we can't do that. Like, come on. And then it was like, yeah, we can. But once I started seeing the other stuff, I'm like, okay, let's figure this out. And I remember before we started, we got the new cameras. And once again, I don't know anything about these cameras, but you sent me 3 different YouTube videos of setup for these cameras. And so I took notes on all 3 of them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I like bits and pieces of each of them. And so I created my own, like how to do the settings out of all 3. And then, those are the same settings we've been using since we started this podcast.
And all the insight into what to do, what to buy, that all came off YouTube. Mm-hmm. Watching hundreds of videos about how these camera works and what works best for this, and how to, trying to figure that out. And I'm not one who likes to like go back and forth with that a lot. So it was like, I'm going to figure this out before and just order this stuff, and we'll just deal with whatever we get. And luckily we had some pretty good cameras that have worked pretty well for us. Cameras we're using today.
Well, and that's part of the whole, like, how has technology like affected people my age, is the fact that these cameras, I don't think I ever picked up the actual manual of this camera or anything. It was watch these YouTube videos, and now anytime I have a question, I can literally look it up on YouTube and I have the answer. I can look it up on Google and I have the answer right away. And so I'm able to just fix something right away. Or if we're having any issues, most of the time it's an easy fix. It seems a little grueling at first, but the information's at our fingertips.
So when you think about what we did during that time, what would you encourage people not to do? Like I was thinking, well, don't buy 3 different cameras for one.
Yeah, I'd say don't buy 3 different cameras, but also don't set too high of expectations for yourself, because
we did,
I want to be perfect the first time. And then if it's not perfect the first time, I beat myself up. But it's like, it's bizarre to think that you're going to be perfect the first time. That's part of like learning it, is that like, as you continue to use it, as you continue to do things, you're going to be changing. And if you're going to base the entire, like, it's kind of like the whole like first impressions. Like if you're going to base everything off the first time, then you're just going to dig yourself a hole. Yeah. But if you're like, okay, like you took your first video, okay, what can we do better? And that's exactly what we did. Like we did these cameras we started with these cameras. We took the first few podcasts and we realized, okay, we're going to step away from the lapel mics and we're going to start using the little DJI wireless mics because they picked up better. Then it was like, okay, because that's what everybody else is using. We tried it out. And then it was like, okay, now that we've gotten an idea of how we want things and watching all these other videos, now let's upgrade and do different microphones. And then just like
these mics were a big upgrade. Yeah.
And it changes everything, but it's being willing to be okay with it not being perfect.
And at some point, you got to do better. I mean, you can't just limp along with cheesy stuff if you want to get better. You really do have to upgrade the equipment, but it can't be all about the equipment either.
And you don't have to break the bank too. Like, that's one thing, is that like, especially people wanting to start a podcast, like it's kind of intimidating to figure out like what all you need. But like YouTube's your best friend, Google's your best friend, but everybody starts from somewhere. So you can start with recording on your iPhone. That's okay. But like, don't feel like you have to have like the best equipment. Like, do your research. You can Google the 10 best cameras, and all of them are good for a reason. So you just kind of figure out what are your needs, what can you get, and within a price range.
How important has it been for you? I know what I would say about this, but how important has it been for you to have somebody to talk to about this stuff as you grow, as you change, as you transition and try to make things better? Is it really important for you to not just make all those decisions yourself, but share that stuff with somebody?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I get in my head a lot, and you know how you always say like you never want to be around people that are just like you, because you're never going to grow. But if you have somebody that like you see things one way, a lot of the time you're going to have a biased perception or something. But like, I'm going to get in my head about this, and then I'm going to spin out. I'm going to go down this like spiral of like, oh, well, this isn't good, so I got to change this. I got to change this. But if you have somebody that you can kind of like process things with, and then kind of get their outside perspective, then it helps you find a middle ground. But also there's just something about doing things together that it's like sharing the load. Like, this is a lot of work, but it's not all on you. Like, we can do it together. And it's huge, not going to be the best thing in the world, but like, you're here. There's a lot of people that haven't even gotten to this point, or that completely will never see themselves at this point, and we did it.
Do you remember the first time we did a podcast? Well, there's a dog barking right now. It's like, this is real life for us. We're in the middle of the city. There's been trucks outside that have been. Remember the first time though that we did one of these recordings and thought, that sucked. We have to do this again. And it was so hard to go to that person and say, can we maybe do this over again? Because it just wasn't what we wanted.
Yeah. I think that one felt like a defeat.
Yeah.
I think I beat myself up the most. And I still do. I still beat myself up every time something's like, doesn't work out the way I wanted it to. But I don't like sulk in it as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Like, because I learned, I'm like, it's fine. Like,
you're learning from it too.
Because I'm my own worst critic. Like, no matter what it is, I'm always going to beat myself up. But yeah, that first time that it was the sound, the microphones weren't like, I did a sound check, but it wasn't you couldn't hear anything. And at the time we didn't really, now I have a software that I can like isolate things in the background, but we couldn't. And so I felt like I screwed up on that one.
But sound's always been a problem.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I don't know why, but it's just so much work. It's hard to get really, really good sound, especially if you if we get finished with a podcast and then go online and look at some of the best podcasts which have thousands of dollars of technology behind them. But, you listen to that and go, ugh. Right. Or the time that we came in, this is recently when we recorded one and couldn't get it to record, couldn't get it to work. And the person sitting here, I felt so badly for you because it was so hard. Because it's like you trying everything you knew, and we did the old computer geek thing and just turn everything back off and turn it back on again, and it worked. But it's kind of scary, frustrating.
That's the downside of like technology too, is that like we rely so much on it.
Yeah.
But that is our podcast. If we can't get the technology to work, we don't have a podcast. So, and that's part of like, there's the ups and downs, but then it's like, there's the moments where you do really well, and there's always going to be, how can I do it better? Yeah. There's always going to be, but
hopefully,
yeah. And
if you settle,
it makes you want to grow.
Boring.
Complacency sucks. Well, but like we've had some of the coolest podcasts, and there was times where I was like, okay, like, the video quality, the autofocus, blah, 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 all these things, all these elements that play into it, but the content.
What makes a great podcast in your mind, seeing what you've seen over the last 100 podcasts?
When somebody feels like they're in a safe enough space to just be themselves.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, like, I mean, I hate being in front of cameras. That stuff stresses me out. That's why I'm
it took 4 years to get you here.
I know. Number 99. But yeah, there was so many times where I had a preconceived notion about somebody, and everyone's going to have defense mechanisms and walls that they put up. And so other people's perception of them is going to look different.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you're in different settings, like sometimes, like, it's not being two-faced, but there's like protective barriers. So people are different in different settings. And I think that I had a lot of, coming from having like church trauma or whatever, or just like being hurt by people, there was a lot of preconceived notions I had about a lot of people. And then
you must have hated the fact I was interviewing some of the people.
Yeah, I was like, because I'm like, these people hate me, or I hate them. I don't know. But like getting to really get to know them and like hearing their story, especially, I think when I heard people's stories, the moment they felt like vulnerable enough to share, it gave me a different sense of, like, I guess, empathy for them.
Yeah.
Or compassion, where I was like, like, because like one of my favorite quotes is from To Kill a Mockingbird is, you never know a person until you walk a mile in their skin. And sometimes it's hard to live by that. But then there's other times where it's just like, take a step back, and there's a reason why we're all the way, like, we each have a different personality. It's shaped by our demographic. It's shaped by our upbringing. And once you hear somebody's story, you're like, well, that makes more sense now. That they're not trying to be a jerk, but like that's their protective mechanism or their coping mechanism. And it's like, oh, okay, like you just got to let them be, even if you like it or not.
I agree completely. We've seen a lot. People have walked out and we look at each other and go, that's pretty cool that they would share that stuff. Some people have shared some pretty vulnerable things. I mean, I was sitting on the other side of the table thinking, I can't believe you're talking about this right now.
Well, there's times I'm behind the computer crying because I'm like, man, like this person's story. But the other side was like seeing a different side of people or watching them grow.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple people we did twice, but just like knowing somebody in one part of their life and then you haven't seen them in like 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they do a podcast and you're like, man, like this is so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool to have the opportunity to get that not a lot of people are ever going to get that opportunity. And part of the whole podcast was literally doing a 15-minute video for other people to get to know this person. And you're not ever going to get to know that person except like through instances like this, or if you walk alongside them. But if you never walk alongside them, you'll never know them. But like this was a great opportunity for that. Like you built relationships, you connected other people. We did podcasts with multiple people.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool.
And didn't have a clue what we were doing.
Oh, yeah.
We were just pulling out all kinds of stuff. So as you think back about the last, couple of years, 4 years or so, how have you changed? How has it impacted you? How are you different because of what we've done together? How's it changed you?
I think I'm a lot more confident in myself. And it's that whole, like, I can do anything. Because coming into this, like the website thing, for instance, coming into this, I knew nothing. And now I think I built the company I work for's website. I think I built like 10 or 12 websites now.
Yeah.
And now it's like a no-brainer. I can do it. I mean, they're hard, like, especially like when you need to collaborate, but like I did it, and I don't have a doubt that I can't do it. Same thing with like this trickled into like me doing video recording and video editing for so many other people in the community, and like I can serve and do things, but I learned to have more compassion for people.
Yeah. You're capable.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not stone cold-hearted.
You're not. You're quite the opposite. But it does change the way you think about other people. You become less, presumptuous about who people are and what they're thinking. And so, as you look back over what we've done, Rufina, how do you feel about what we've accomplished with CitiServe?
I was actually just thinking about this like yesterday and this morning. There's part of me that's like, we did it. Like anybody that was put in this position, like, do you think that they could do it? I don't know. Like, we didn't think we could do it, but we did it. And so like, I feel like it was like that whole like job well done. Like,
yeah.
Like 4 years ago, I would have never seen this. And I'm so glad that I did this because I learned so much. And then part of me wishes, though, that like people realized how important relationship is and walking with each other. So that's the one side that like I had hoped the entire time that people would see more value in it.
It's cool to hear you say that because you and I really share that way, and we've shared that through the whole journey. Is like, how do we help people realize that they need each other, that relationships are so important that it's worth giving other things up in order to do this thing that's actually more important in the long run. So I agree with you completely. I feel the same way. As I look back over what we've done, I feel like we've accomplished more than I think most people realize. But maybe it's just good enough that we did it together, that we accomplished it together and we did things that we didn't think we could do and weren't sure exactly how we were going to do it, but we pulled it off. And I'm really proud of what we've accomplished.
But you do this thing like you're really good at encouraging people and walking alongside them and encouraging them and letting them know that they could do anything. You're constantly doing that. And looking back, I don't know if I could have done this with anybody else because there was so much that went into CitiServe, but the biggest thing was the relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's a different kind of relationship. Like, I'm type A, and I learned how to work with somebody who, like, I think we're similar.
Don't tell me what type I
ways.
am. Don't go to my Enneagram. I don't want to know that.
Oh, boy. I think we're similar in a lot of ways, but I think we're very different too.
Yeah.
But we share like certain visions and goals, which I think is great. But I don't know if I could have done that with anybody else.
Yeah. I kind of feel like at the end of all this, you're unique. You're who you are. I'm unique, and together I think we've accomplished some pretty cool stuff. And I'm really proud of who you are and what you've done, and the woman you're becoming, the leader you're becoming, the friend you're becoming. In my mind, that's more important than anything. Is that I hope what we've been doing for the last 4 years will add to your life for years to come. That you'll look back and go, I'm glad we did that because I'm doing this stuff now, and I don't know if I could have done it had I not gone through all that other. I hope so anyway.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not that I've had a lot of life experience because I'm like 5 years old, but this is one of my favorite things that I've done in my life. And I don't know if I would have said that 4 years ago. I mean, I used to say I hate people 4 years ago,
Yeah.
and I don't say that anymore, but like there was so much, it was so much of a learning curve. It was so much that went into it, like not blood, sweat, and tears, but like it was, late nights figuring things out, like beating myself up. I learned how to use various editing softwares, and I learned so much. And it was like, that's why I'm where I'm at today. Like I absorbed everything, and I was able to utilize it in every aspect of my life. And like, that's part of the thing with like the bittersweet feeling of this like ending is just like, it was pretty cool, but I don't think anyone will ever know how I truly feel, like how much it has impacted me.
So one last question.
Oh boy.
Somebody's about ready to head in. You can see them heading into this. They're going to start a nonprofit maybe, and they want to really help. They want it to help impact a community. What would be your encouragement and advice for that person, knowing what you know now?
Find somebody to walk with.
Yeah.
You can't do everything alone.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it feels like it's easier to do things alone, but there's just something about having somebody, whether it's one person or whether it's two people, you want to do it with somebody.
Yeah.
Because then you can always fall back on it. Like especially if you're beating yourself up or something, like you have somebody to tell you like it's going to be okay or share the load with you, but you're better together, not alone. So I would say that. Do it with people.
Good advice.
And I wouldn't have said that before.
I will take that advice.
You've done it in everything you do. You bring people alongside you.
Well, it has been a joy. You're the best.
Aww.
You're the best person to work with, and I'm really excited about your future, and I'm excited about what we've done together, and especially as we're coming to an end, as a 1 week left, and I won't be the director of CitiServe any longer, and you won't have a reason to schedule out Fridays. You'll figure out something else to do. I just want to tell you thank you. Thank you for all that you've done. You've been a good friend. You've been a good builder. We've built things together, so good job, girl.
I would want to say that, like, I'm proud of you. Like, I think in everything that you do, you put yourself out there with the risk that, like, it's not going to be received, whether it's going to be received or not. Like, you don't know what it's going to look like, but you still do it. You still fight for the relationship. And, like, I don't know anybody else that would do that, but, like, you're constant, like, you're resilient. And I mean, even when people are butt heads sometimes, like, you still push through and you still love them and still walk alongside people and you haven't given up. And I think, like, that's shown me not to give up too. And it's shown me how important relationship and community is.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of you for doing
this.
It
means a lot. It means a lot coming from you, especially because you know me like a lot of other people don't know me. So Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.